Good morning and welcome to our community affairs program that we call 30 Minutes. Today our special guest is Mr. Hunter Wilbanks. He is the Director of Parks and Recreation and Cemeteries for the City of Union City. Hunter, it's a pleasure to have you on the program.
Yes, sir. It's glad to be here.
I've been talking to Hunter for some time now. I guess he is probably, you are one of the newest directors with the department, aren't you?
Yes, sir. Yeah. March of 24.
Yeah.
So I'm on 11 months right now. I'll be here a year next month.
Well, as we do each week on our program, we like to let our guest introduce themselves. So, Hunter, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Throughout my middle school and early high school years, I lived here in Union City down on High Street, so I'm familiar with the area and stuff like that. As I got older, I moved to Troy, and then I graduated from Central. I live in Troy, but my grandmother and a lot of my family still live here in Union City, so I'm always around here. And now that I work here, I'm always close to everybody, and it ain't but 7 minutes up the road. So
that's good. You had a real good familiarity about Union City then.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You took the job, you said, almost a year ago. I think I asked you this one night at City Council meeting, but what interested you in this position?
So last year would have been my 10th year in lawn care and cutting grass and stuff like that. So, it's cutting grass, it's just like riding a bike. It's easy. It ain't nothing hard to it, but you can always perfect it and be really good at it, and that's just what I've always strived to be. So for about 6 years, I was just a laborer, but 4 years ago, me and one of my business partners, we started up Home Care Lawn. So that started where my managerial experience and, running several guys came in at. And I was just ready for it. I was ready for a jump. And here I get to take care of the whole tank. It's not just 150 customers a week or something like that. It's the whole community. 11,000 people get to see what our department does. And it's stuff like that just excite me, I guess.
And the opportunity to run a department. That was really, you said you had done that in a way, but that was a big step.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's a big difference when you go from being self-employed like that, running 6 or 7 guys to a department that's be 15 or 20 at times. Yes, sir. But it hadn't been too bad, honestly. It's just the same thing on a bigger scale, Right. So it ain't. I'm loving it.
And a whole lot more equipment.
That's right. A lot more to take care
of. For sure. Explain why Parks and Recreation was established here in the city.
So I've got several stories from Mr. Ken Morris, our last director. He's told me one time that it was mainly for the cemeteries, so they could, manage and keep up with who's buried where out here. And then it just kind of came in. They had Kiwanis Park to maintain weekly and stuff like that, and the same with Graham. But I would say, in addition to that, is for the enrichment of the community is why it was established. If that wasn't its intended purpose when it was originally created, that's most definitely its purpose now. It's better in the community.
Well, you found that out just in your lawn care with residential and business. If the grass looked good and the properties look good,
everybody's happy.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
And you want that for the city as a whole also.
Correct. Representing us just right here in West Tennessee, you can drive through and check out some of our parks, and you're not going to find them in a lot of areas. Just the acreage and the size and the layout of them, you're just not going to find that. And them are the best blank canvases to work off of if you're on a lawnmower or landscaping it.
Right.
Yep.
Well, learning from Ken Morris is a good one because Ken was here for quite some time.
Yes, sir. Yep. I think 40 years, they said.
He did a great job.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Well, that's a good one to pick up some tips from. So, actually, how many employees are on your staff?
We have 7 full-time, and that includes our janitorial crew. They run 2 throughout the winter and 3 in full season. We got 11 restrooms around town that we maintain, take care of, stuff like that. And then I have a secretary, Miss Deborah. She's been there close to 20 years, if not over 20 years. But something new I brought in this year, somebody to manage and keep up with like the Parks and Recreation Department, social media, and our summer rec camps. And she's starting to get her feet wet in grant writing and stuff like that. I just think it'll be beneficial to have somebody like that within the city promoting and getting that stuff out like that.
Well, being there now almost a year, do you feel like you're settled in now? You've got the hang of it?
Oh, yes, sir. Last year when I came in, it was right before we started mowing, and I went ahead and I changed up quite a bit for the mowing scheme. I put guys in the crews and made crew leads, foremen, stuff like that. And last year, I think they were all just kind of getting in their groove and figuring out how I ran things. And now this year, we've been gearing up. All our stuff's good and service. It's ready to fire off, and they're just ready to start running their schedules and doing it the right way, without the cold weather, without the rain, stuff like that. They're ready. They're just as ready as I am. I would hope.
With all that you have to do, do you have it all set down in a schedule?
Yes, sir. On a Monday to Thursday schedule. Actually, last year we did it in 5 days. This year we're going to 4. So we have one crew that's going to maintain Eastview Cemetery. That's close to 30 acres, and it's a solid 2 days of weed eating for 3 or 4 guys. So we have one crew that's going to manage Eastview, and then all of our feeder parks like Veterans and Reelfoot Pond, Adams, 5th Street, Kiwanis, we have a different crew lead for him. It's him and 2 other guys. That's really quality focused. I'm trying to keep a small crew on them projects so they can look their best every week. And then I got a 2-man crew that's going to take care of Grand Park. When I say take care, I don't just mean mow. They're going to mow it. They're going to landscape it. Low trees hanging, limbs fall, trash. Every bit of that will be dependent on that crew. That way each area around town has, quality assurance. And
you're losing a day, so now you got to get all this done in 4 days.
Right. Well, where I came from that was we could get Eastview done last year in a solid 2 days if we were hustling. But if you make it a 10-hour day, you can get done in a day and a half. And then that leaves us for a whole another, we can go do Veterans on a half day. Something like that. That was the big switch for 10s.
So time management, so really that helps you out.
Yes, sir. That's my cup of tea. Just right now, we've got kind of an average on what each mower is cutting per acre. But now this year my plan is to get it knocked down to crew. Doing which crew, how fast can they mow certain areas.
Now, what kind of twist does weather cause for you?
A big one. So I made them all very aware. If we're going to have a monsoon Saturday and Sunday, we're going to flip that schedule. We're going to take off that Monday, and then we're going to mow Tuesday to Friday to get the same amount done. But we try to cut everything to where it can stand, 7 days or 9 days or 10 days. We try to keep everything within 2 weeks. I don't want nothing growing longer than 2 weeks. It puts a lot of strain on our equipment. But we're going to see this year how weather plays a factor in it.
A lot of times in the spring, doing it so many years, it can rain all week.
Correct. And then you stuck with 10-inch grass the next week.
Oh, yes.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Then you have excess grass everywhere that looks terrible.
Correct. The one thing that's going to benefit us this year is we got a group of guys that they do not mind the work. So weather, it ain't going to hurt them. I mean, if it's not just sopping wet, we're going to track up, we'll get it done in a timely manner.
So your biggest cemetery, are you mowing and weed eating at the same time, or does your crew weed eat first and your mowers go behind it?
We run 2 mowers and 4 weed eaters is how we did it last year. Now, this year we're going to run 1 mower and 3 weed eaters, but that's their only location for the entire week. So in 4 days you'll have 1 man mowing and 3 guys weed eating. And then the other crews that are doing the other properties, if they finish up early, they're going to go help that man out. They're going to all jump in and make sure Eastview's finished up, tidied up, looks real good.
Yeah. So that is the biggest project that you have to oversee then, I'm guessing, right?
That property, yes, sir. It's definitely the most labor intensive. And it's a lot. It's not just mowing it. We go out and mark graves and stuff like that. It's still the only active cemetery we have. City View, it's closed. And then the old Scott Split Cemetery up past Sherwood Hills, it's closed. So Eastview's the only active cemetery that we got. So, yeah, it's a pretty big project year to year.
Yeah. It's closed, but you still maintain it, though, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we still mow it. There's just, unless you have a long-time family member that bought and has an empty spot, there's no more people buying out of City View.
It's full, you're saying.
Correct. Yes, sir.
A lot of people may not be familiar with all the cemeteries that are in this community.
They are all on our Parks and Recreation website. The ones that are city-owned. You can get on there, and they have a brief history on them and the location of them. You can go check them out. It's pretty interesting.
So, Hunter, you say you have some more information about your biggest projects?
Right. The cemetery, it's a big one, but in addition to that, like yearly mulching the playgrounds and the park pavilions, getting them cleaned up, like pressure wash, we're getting all of our trash cans and our picnic tables and stuff ready. We have a lot of bookings for reservations and stuff within our parks throughout the year, and we try to keep those real clean and nice for the community to come in when they want to come in and have a birthday party or just an event or anything of that nature. So I would say that's a pretty big project too. The splash pad, we come in, starting last year, we came in and pressure washed it, hot washed it, cleaned it off, and recoated it. I would say within the next 2 to 3 years, we're probably going to be doing that again, the splash pad. It takes time. There's a lot of fluoride and water. It just breaks down the paint, stuff like that on top of concrete. So that splash pad will be a yearly thing for like resurfacing and stuff like that.
And you talked about maintaining bathrooms. Where are they located?
So we have 3 within Grand Park. Down below the soccer fields, we have our first set of bathrooms. And then you come up to where the wooden playground is. We call that community. That's the community bathroom. And then you come around up into the ball fields. There's some up in Elam and stuff too that we maintain, but those are really only for like baseball games and stuff like that. But we have the ones down by the plastic park. It's called the Big Woods bathroom. So there's 3 within Graham. We got 1 at Veterans Park, 1 at Nash Street Park, 1 at Kiwanis, and then 1 at the tennis courts on South Taylor.
And I understand there may be new bathrooms built sometime in the future here at Kiwanis. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. So a lot of these buildings are outdated and they're not ADA approved, and that's something that, you know, going forward, getting grants and stuff like that, we need to have those ADA approved, up to date. You know, with the people that are giving these grants out and stuff, they need to see us putting forth effort to update stuff. So, you know, that way they want to invest their money in this community as well.
And with the ADA, that's probably requirements too, right?
Correct. You know, a lot of that stuff's grandfathered in, but moving forward, if you want to do something else to the park or something else, then everything in that area needs to be ADA. You know,
okay.
The codes need to be in line with whatever they want.
Wow. And you have 7 employees, you said?
Yes, sir.
And you get all this done?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, it makes for a quick day because we don't have much downtime. But most people, I don't know, that's the way we prefer it. You know, the more you got to do, the faster the day goes by. And you know, we just stay busy. You know, our janitorial crew, they come in and they start on one bathroom, and then the mowing crews and stuff, they'll go in and start on the other end of that bathroom and go start unlocking stuff, cleaning them out, just keeping them really nice. I don't know if you've been to any of them, but most of the bathrooms throughout the city are fairly nice. You know, they're not like a gas station bathroom. They're clean. They're always real tidy.
Right.
Hats off to our janitorial crew. They do a great job.
And new ones, you were talking about new ones there at the tennis courts, the middle school tennis courts.
Yes, sir. So that was a big one for last year. I came in, I kind of looked at our budget and assessed it, and I went around and inspected all of them, and that was possibly the worst one we had. So I figured, you know, let's just go ahead and dive in now and try to get this one. So we did it in-house and came in for cost. It was very good. You know, we were able to partner with some other people, do some different equipment, you know, reallocate those funds around, and just doing it ourselves really helped us get other stuff around the city done within our parks.
Again, today we are speaking with Hunter Wilbanks. He is the Director of Parks and Recreation and Cemeteries for the city of Union City, and Hunter does a fantastic job himself and also leading his crew. And you've talked very favorably about your employees, and it seems that to me that they have bought in to their job and what needs to be done in this city. Would you agree with that?
100%, yes, sir. Yes, they're right. When I envision a project or I see something and I want to, you know, I can see the finished product myself. A lot of times employees can't see that, but I have guys who will be right there beside me. Hey, let's throw this border in there. We change this. We make this rock here instead of mulch. You know, it's going to look better to the eye, or it's going to be easier to maintain. And yeah, they're 100% on board.
And of course, being in the city, you have many eyes of the public looking at your work. Right.
And to a lot of people, that would be a terrible thing. To us, we love it. You know, we don't get many phone calls down at the parks office, but the ones we do are normally pretty favorable. You know, we try to stay on top of everything, and all my guys know phone calls are not a good thing. So we don't get those. Any phone calls I've gotten last year were compliments on our boulevards and areas around town, stuff like that. And until those change, I'm gonna stay on top of my guys. You know, I love it. They love it.
That's good, and congratulations on that. You were talking about the mission of Parks and Recreation. What did you mean by that, Hunter?
So the purpose of the department is to provide ideal recreation facilities, programs, and services to enhance the quality of life within our community while also helping promote the city of Union City. So that's a big thing there. We're just going to take that and we're going to build off of it and hopefully come up with something in the next 3 to 5 years as a master plan, a new set master plan for, you know, just for the parks, and what really spills over into the community. You know, they get to use those assets and stuff like that, and I would say it still holds today. That mission statement still holds up today.
Well, that's fantastic. Absolutely. And you have projects and events going on all the time too, don't you?
Correct. There's something I spoke about earlier. Our new secretary in our office, she's kind of like our public coordinator. You know, we started the annual Halloween movie night last year. She set all that up. You know, for the first year we had about 150 people there, that's a big deal for, just the Parks and Recreation Department. But it turned out well, and we are going to make that an annual event year to year. And then throughout the month of November, she came up with a scavenger hunt for like a Thanksgiving scavenger hunt, and we ran it for 21 days. Tons of involvement on that. I expect it to grow in years to come. There's a lot of other small projects, community involvement days, stuff like that we have in the works. We hadn't put them out there yet. We're still trying to, collaborate, find sponsors, work with other groups and stuff like that, which we're not having no trouble with right now. I will say that this community is very good about giving back and sponsoring events and programs, stuff like that. And that's something I love about the city here.
Explain, because someone may have just heard that you talking about movie night. What is movie night? Where did you have this? So
down in Grand Park, we have a giant movie screen and a projector, and we got a Facebook page, and we put 4 movies on our Facebook page and let the community vote. And just out of the 4 movies, Hocus Pocus won. We had I think 5 Seasons was one of our sponsors. They sponsored popcorn, so we gave out free popcorn to everybody, and it was about a 3-hour-long event, but it went well. We're going to take what we learned from last year's event and just make next year's event even better. So
people just show up with their chair and sit down and watch the movie.
Yes, sir. Yep.
And you had a good turnout.
Yep. We had probably I'd say a strong 115, 120 people there.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yep.
Wow. Community activities, and I guess that was adults and children both.
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was. They had their blankets out there and laid on the ground watching Hocus Pocus.
Very nice. And you're going to try that again this year? Huh?
Yes, sir. We are for sure doing it again.
What month did you have that in?
October.
Oh, that's a good time.
Yep.
Yeah, good time of the season.
Around the spooky season, I guess. It's not too cold, but not not warm. So it's the perfect time of the year to do it.
Well, fantastic. Looking forward to that then. So, any other major events or activities on your calendar this year, or when do you start building your calendar?
We've already started. We started in December of last year. A big project for this year is going to be the Kiwanis Park restroom update. It won't be until around July, but we're going to get rid of that old building there, update it, make it nice. That's a big one.
A lot of people don't realize you had a lot to do in helping get the fountain fixed back in Kiwanis Park.
Yes, sir. We that was 23 years in the making. That thing hadn't been restored, so that was one of the big things that doing the bathroom on South Taylor ourselves helped us do. That freed up the funds for us to do that, because that's an expensive metal, and they think very highly of it. So we sent it off to Rainbow City, Alabama, which is originally where it came from.
It sure was, wasn't it?
And they've got it redone, and at the same time we had a aquascape professional come in and redo the lower bottom of it and put new lights in, a new pump, and all that good stuff. So it's shaping up. Between that and the new ADA playground equipment that we work together with for Kiwanis Club, that Kiwanis is really coming around. Once we get that bathroom rebuilt in there, that'll be a very updated park.
Kiwanis Park is a very nice park for the downtown area.
Yes, sir, it is. It is.
It is. And the fountain, as you just mentioned, they took the fountain down, and it went back to the original company that built that.
Yes, sir.
And what did they do to it when they had it, Hunter?
To my understanding, it's pretty much like a sandblasting process. Cutting off all the old corrosion or getting it back down to that bare metal, and then repatining it and polishing it and pretty much weatherizing it so it can stay like that for a long time.
And y'all had to fix it, working the base down there to get that straightened out too, didn't you?
Yes, sir. So within the department ourselves, we actually tore out all the old backfill that was in there, back down the original concrete pad, and then we had Moeller Aquascapes out of Rutherford come in and do a coating on the inside of that and install them lights. And when that thing's running with the lights at night, it's really nice. It's really nice.
I've been here for almost 20 years, and that fountain has been the topic of conversation for many years.
Yes, sir. Yeah, the first time I inspected that thing, I was like, man, this thing's been here a long time. Then I got to looking into the history of it, and it's been here a while.
It had gotten down to just being, instead of a fountain, just a trickle.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And then I think last year the pool wouldn't hold water when I first came here. Like, it had a leak in it, so we didn't run it last year. We just kept it cleaned out and stuff. We were trying to figure out what we were going to do to get that restored and everything. It just also happened the end of last year, right after we finished up the bathrooms, that we were able to get all that tied up. So it was a good little crunch there to get everything done, but we made it happen.
Definitely looks good now. I know you have to plan year to year and things like that, but have you set some 5-year goals, 10-year goals?
Not huge ones. but like some small things, and I may be reaching here because I have no idea, what the budget or what grants we'll get going forward. But updating the walking track out at Grand Park. We've already worked on the pedestrian bridges out there, trying to get the ramps on them a little updated and stuff like that. But nothing major. Out at Veterans Park, I want to redo that fence. That fence is going on, I think it's its 14th year. And, wood rots just like everything else. So, but other than that, nothing too major. I can see us definitely continuing the bathroom updates around town, because them things just start to cost you more than they're worth at some point. There's got to become a point where they're out of date when you're fixing something every month or something like that. So I'm sure those will definitely come around, but nothing major. We got playground equipment going up at Veterans. We did get a grant, a matching funds grant for some playground equipment. So it's hopefully mid-year, maybe by March, in middle of March, we'll start on getting that stuff out there.
Down by the pavilion area?
We're actually going to bring it back. So if you pull up on the industrial park side of that and you go up to where the circle is, the field over to the right in there, it's a nice spot. That way if kids are playing, it's not interrupting somebody, just wanting to walk outside in the quiet, and at the same time it's still inside the fence, so it's not too close to the road, or anything like that. But that's a big addition. That's one of our most used parks, I would say, and that's a great addition for out there for small kids and stuff like that.
Yeah, you go by when the weather's nice and the parking lot is full.
Covered up.
People are fishing, people are walking, picnicking, and some just sitting around enjoying being outside.
Yes.
Well, the playground equipment, that will be a great addition.
Yes, sir, for sure.
Absolutely. And we were talking before we started that at the next city council meeting, you're going to require or get some bids for some 72-inch lawnmowers. And this, you said, can actually save your department money and the city money, right?
Correct. Yes, sir. So we've been using a bush hog for the past 10, 15 years on a lot of the fields and stuff down there within Grand Park and out behind Veterans. There's a huge field out there. And over time, them fields, that tractor, it kind of ruts them up. It makes them rough to mow. So then every time you mow them, it gets slower and slower, whether you're on a bush hog or not. But I think we can, I think it came down to about 36 minutes is what we can become that much faster on the mowers than compared to the bush hog. And it leaves you with a cleaner cut. And you don't have to worry about damaging the field and stuff like that over time. Because, like I said, go take you a drive through the airplane field at Grand Park. It's pretty rough. But if we get those, rehabbed, and then we put the mowers on them, they're cutting 144 inches at 12, 13 miles an hour. And they're clean. They look like the rest of our.
Look like a residential yard.
Instead of like a field, it'll look like, yes, sir. That's the goal.
And you're talking about your bush hog and tractor. Hunter, what kind of equipment do you have to do your job there?
So that tractor and bush hog is about the biggest thing we got. Other than that, we run seven lawnmowers. We run from 51-inch decks all the way up to 72s. There's a lot of places in that graveyard out there where a 61, it won't fit in between stones. So them little 52s, they're perfect for it. And then you have other aspects where you're mowing wide open 10 acres where you might need a 61 or a 72. But outside of that, we got 2 gators. We do have a smaller tractor that we use to move stuff around the shop, stuff like that. But that's about it. We don't have nothing too major in the parks department for equipment. It don't take a lot. We got about 20 weed eaters. We run them wild, and blowers are the same way. But just as far as big equipment or special equipment, we don't really have none.
Do you find yourself replacing equipment a lot? Or if you get a new mower, does it last you a couple, 2 or 3 years?
Yes, sir. The 7 we got now are actually on a lease program, which is the best way to go for what we do, because we're averaging 300 to 400 hours on them a season here. Now, like our tractor and stuff like that, we buy all them outright because you put 20, 30 hours on a tractor in a year. But we actually haven't replaced. I'm blessed with a guy who is really good with maintenance, small engine repair, stuff like that. He's one of my foremen. And since he came into the picture, a lot of our weed eaters and blowers, small engine stuff, he takes care of all that.
Something wrong, he fixes it.
If he can't figure it out between both of us, we'll figure it out.
You can't beat that.
No, sir.
That is good. Then you mentioned also earlier, something I wanted to ask you about was the splash pad.
Yeah.
What type of impact do you think the splash pad has been for this city?
I think it's great as far as providing something for the city to use, as far like that. Now, as far as maintenance in the years to come, I think it's costly. Now, not as costly as a swimming pool, but it is something that it requires yearly maintenance. It's and that yearly maintenance could cost you anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 to $150,000 to $200,000. It just depends on how bad of a winter you had, that type of deal. But right now, what we're doing, the hot wash and getting that excess paint and stuff off there that didn't stick right the first time, and just replacing it with the same thing, that same epoxy it was originally put on it. Yeah. So I'm sure within the next 5 to 10 years, it'll have to have a complete resurface. We'll have to get somebody to come in there and, you know, grind it down and retexture the top of that concrete and go that way.
Everything requires maintenance, though.
At some point, yes, sir.
Especially if water's involved, because if water's involved, that means rust's involved, right?
Correct. And our splash pad, it doesn't use a recycling system, so it's fresh water constantly. So that, you know, that also plays a factor in maintenance and stuff on it.
Do you have to do any maintenance during the wintertime months for it?
We shut it down, blow it out, you know, make sure there's no water in them lines. We pull a bunch of the special heads that are out there on that pad. Yeah. But aside from that, once it gets back to that valve, Public Works Department takes over. And hats off to them, because they make sure, you know, it's winterized and ready to go. Well,
we are in February now. When do you anticipate opening the splash pad?
It'll be the same as it has been in years past, which I could be wrong. It's on our website, but I'm pretty sure it's Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial Day weekend.
Yep.
And anytime you go by in the summer, if it's hot and pretty, it's well attended, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's full. Last year we actually did it on the opening weekend. We gave away like 200 free snow cones. Our department donated that, and they were gone within the first 2 hours out there. So I don't know if it was really hot or a lot of people.
I believe probably both.
Right.
And, you know, I've been surprised, but the skate park right next to it there,
it stays busy 12 months out of the year.
Those kids are out there skateboarding all the time.
Yes, sir. The day after Christmas, we actually made it a point to keep it unlocked. And the amount of people out there using their Christmas presents, their bikes and their skateboards and stuff, they were just covered up out there.
Well, that's a very good feature for the city. Now, I don't know if you mentioned this or not, but in your work, in your department, how many total acres are you taking care of?
So I have it listed, and everything everybody's told me is right at 250. Down to my actual, like what I've pulled everything, it's right at 263, about 263 acres. 263. And about 212 of that is a weekly thing. Now the other is the fields at Graham and Veterans. We only do them every 2 weeks. Now this year it'll be weekly, but in the past it's been 2 weeks on them, and then the rest of it was.
Again, it's February. March, as we know, can be the most harsh month of winter and also can be the mildest.
Yes, sir.
So where are you now? When will you start getting all equipment ready to go to start getting out on those mowers and doing things?
Right. So we get antsy at Parks, and we actually had everything ready to go about a month ago. That first warm week that we got in January, we did some leaves, did some mulching and stuff like that. And the last week we spent a bunch of time down in Graham doing some drainage and stuff like that away from our playground equipment. We mulched a bunch of leaves, cleaned off all the parking lots, and then, as you know, we had a flood this weekend, so it'll be a repeat process. So we're just falling in line. We did Veterans last week too, and you know, it does a little better during floods, so it's still clean. It may make it until mid-March, but everything else will just be a fight the weather until grass is growing full speed and the rain stops.
So you stay busy 12 months out of the year?
I'll make it a point to, yes, sir. Yes,
There's
sir.
Always something to do.
Every day, yes, sir.
Well, that's fantastic. Again, today we have been speaking with Hunter Wilbanks. He is the Director of Parks and Recreation and Cemeteries for the City of Union City. And each week we like to let our guest have the last word for the program. So, Hunter, I'll turn it over to you.
I just appreciate you having me on here, Mr. Charles. And I would just like to let everybody know, get out and use the parks, utilize them in the pretty weather. You know, if you have any questions or concern, you can give us a call over at the Parks office, 731-885-0354. And
you say you are a 4-day department now.
We have a secretary there 5 days a week, so if you need anything there on Fridays, you just give us a call.
Our special guest, Hunter Wilbanks, with the Parks and Recreation and Cemeteries for the City of Union City. We hope you enjoyed today's program, and of course we invite you to tune in again next week at this same time as we bring you topics and information of importance to our community. From all of us here at Thunderbolt Broadcasting, until we meet again next week, I'm Charles Choate.
You've been listening to 30 Minutes, a community affairs program on Thunderbolt Radio. You can listen to this broadcast and others anytime by visiting thunderboltradio.com and following the Thunderbolt Radio and Digital YouTube page. Thanks for listening.